Okay, we're going.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Owen. Good morning, Calvin.
Good morning.
Good to be with you, fellas.
Yep.
Yeah.
And good to be with you at home. Thanks for tuning in for our brief Bible study this morning in 1 John chapter 3. This morning, Calvin, what did we decide we were going to read this
We'll
morning?
be doing verses 16, 17, and 18.
Nice.
That's about one verse each, isn't it?
It is.
So,
Out.
join us in 16 through 18 of 1 John chapter 3.
This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers.
If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person?
Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth.
Ready?
All right.
Alright.
It's like every morning now we say, what's the context?
Right.
And it seems like it's not changing a lot,
No, it's not.
To me.
Not at all.
right? I mean, it's at the same time we've said that First John is written in a way that it's like different ideas come into his head and he writes them down, and yet here we are kind of moving toward the end of the book, and we've still got the same theme, kind of this light versus darkness,
Right.
good versus bad, God's team versus not God's team, and how that should play out in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sort of like he's had a fundamental in his philosophy.
Yes, the whole time. And while he's pulling in different ideas, they all have the same basis.
Right.
All right. Neat how that works out,
Uh-huh.
Sure.
isn't it? All right. So that's our context. We're still doing the same sort of thing. Any big points that come up in our verses today that we ought to consider?
He brings up material possessions.
Yes.
Worldly possessions.
Yes.
And shows that those are not needed. And if you have something somebody else has and you don't pity them, then you don't have love in your heart.
Okay, so those material possessions are needed,
Sure.
but maybe they're needed by others, and if you've got lots and somebody else doesn't have so much,
Sure.
isn't that what he's saying?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
What was that look?
What look?
That look.
I don't
The
know. what you're
rebellious
talking about.
teenager look.
No, he's not what he's saying. He's not saying, hey, material possessions don't mean anything. He's saying if anyone has material possessions, verse 17, and sees his brother, and I think your translation has, or sister, right, in need, but has no pity, that is, doesn't help him out. If you've got something and your brother or sister needs it and you don't help him out, well then you're missing the whole point.
Yeah.
Isn't that what
Sure.
God is saying?
Well, then it goes to the next verse, which is, "Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions," which is a good moral just by itself.
Yes,
To not just speak with the mouth, but to not just talk, but walk.
but walk.
Because when you got all the talk, but you don't got walk.
Grammar aside,
Yeah.
it's just a bad thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is kind of getting at our application today,
Sure.
it seems to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so saying this is how, verse 16, this is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us. So I think that's setting the stage for, here's our ultimate example,
Sure.
right? As we're talking about being on the right side or the wrong side, if we want a model, if we want to know that we're doing well, it's Christ who gave everything, gave his life for us, even while we were against him he was for us.
And it's also it's such as a sort of example, more like a silhouette that Jesus sacrificed himself, and so when we have such invaluable things than Jesus' life, such as material belongings, that it's at such a different value from Jesus sacrificing his life to just lending a hand to a brother.
Right.
Yeah.
A stark contrast.
Right.
Here's what God did for us. Can't you even do this little thing
Yeah.
for a brother or sister?
Indeed. Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Right.
Make the comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what's been done for you. And then let that be your example of how to behave toward other people who might need something. And
Sure.
you are able to give to them. And then that's brilliant. And then the application, don't just, as you put it, talk about it, but do it.
Mm-hmm.
Let your actions speak louder than your words, and go out and do it. That's our application for today, isn't it?
Right.
As we go out into our day, don't just talk a good game, but be there for people and help them out and show them a reflection of the kindness and love and self-sacrifice that God has shown us.
Right. Don't just be a Christian in name only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a kind of,
Something like that.
but do it.
Yeah.
All right, great application. Thanks, fellas, for this study today. We will look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we progress in 1 John.
Yep.